With me now is Republican strategist and GOPAC chairman David Avella and Miami Mayor Philip Levine, a Clinton camp surrogate who was just in South Carolina today with Hillary. All right, gentlemen, so Hillary wins South Carolina. David, any surprise there?
No surprise. I mean, the Democrats have been saying for months that this is her firewall. And even if Bernie Sanders would have gotten 100% of the vote, Judge, she still comes away with more superdelegates because they have a rigged system to keep the establishment in charge of who the Democrats nominate.
Okay, I want to talk about that rigged system in a minute, but let me just give Phil, who was with Hillary, I'll ask you the same thing that I asked Pastor Jeffries about Donald Trump. I mean, how did they react to her? What were the crowds like?
Well, I got to tell you something. In South Carolina, I was there for the last few days. They were so enthusiastic. The people of South Carolina were incredible. And so many people came out. I mean, they loved Secretary Clinton, and you saw it in what happened tonight. This is something that's it's historic at this point. And we expect that it's going to continue this way, Judge.
Well, you know, what's interesting is she seems to have changed her message. It's all about you and me and us, kind of taken from Bernie Sanders. But I want to address what David Avella's just mentioned, and because I think it's very important, and that is the superdelegates. The Democratic Party, David, has superdelegates, which means there are a bunch of people, you know, the highfalutin ones and, you know, the elected and the establishment people who've already, although their state hasn't voted, they're already in Hillary's camp. So what do you say, Phil, to those in Bernie Sanders' campaign and his supporters that it's rigged for the Clintons?
Well, I would say it's not the case. And first of all, the system's worked beautifully for many, many years. And of course, Senator Sanders, their campaign, their people have increased the dialogue, pushed the narrative out in a beautiful way, and have put more people in the tent. I mean, remember something. People that are superdelegates are folks that are elected by the people. These are not people that have decided to become superdelegates.
No. But Phil, let's be real clear on this. The superdelegates many of them are already committed to her in states where they haven't even had primaries. David,
right.
Explain how that works.
Well, it all started when McGovern and Jimmy Carter won without the support of the establishment. And there's a great quote by Averell Harriman, the former Democratic Party boss, that says, Jimmy Carter can't be president. I don't know him. And it was actually the election before that he got beat by a McGovern supporter that kept him from even being a delegate to the convention. So the Democrats came up with the superdelegates, which allowed their elected officials and their big donors and party operatives to be able to cast votes. Hey, Jeanine, let me say one other thing. The mayor's right. This is a historic election. Never before has a nominee been indicted, and very well Hillary Clinton may be the Democratic nominee, and very well she may be indicted.
Here we go again with the Republican attack machine.
It's funny that you would say that, because I found it ironic in her speech. She said something like, no American is too big to be jailed. I mean, she says that in her acceptance.
Judge, I mean, clearly the numbers are the numbers. The numbers are the numbers. I mean, Secretary Clinton has been in service for about 40 years in public service.
But
we know that there's all these lies out there. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think so. I think the people trust that Secretary Clinton will get the job done, that she'll build bridges for the American people. I mean, listen, the Republican Party, as we know right now, they're in those 5 stages of grief. I mean, I know they're in shock right now because Donald Trump's going to be their candidate, but it is what it is.
All right, David, I want to go to Donald Trump and Rubio. Now, you know, Donald Trump is Donald Trump. And, you know, he's kind of a showman. And I want to be clear, he's a friend of mine. But I never expected Rubio to get in that mode. And, you know, is it entertaining for Republicans, or are they turned off by it, David?
Well, I think most people saw that debate as the worst version of a Jerry Springer show. But the reality is, look, it doesn't change the dynamics of this race. The dynamics of this race are the same. For someone to beat Donald Trump, they have to start getting victories, and they have to start collecting more delegates than what he has collected.
Rubio hasn't won a thing and is not projected to win Florida, his own state. So why is the establishment so dug in against Donald Trump?
Well, Judge, your term is establishment. I don't know what that means. I mean, this week, 2 congressmen came out for Donald Trump.
2?
Scott Brown came out.
3 of 4 with the primary. Come on.
Right. I hear you. We've had donors call us and say, how do they reach out to to the Trump campaign. Scott Brown came out a couple weeks ago. In fact,
that's great, except
I told Scott Brown.
But Phil, I'm going to give you the last word. Is there any question in your mind as to who's going to be the Republican candidate?
We think it's going to be Donald Trump, but those debates are funny. It's kind of like watching, Joan Rivers, a combination of Don Rickles and Joan Rivers, against a really bad version with Marco Rubio's Rodney Dangerfield. So to a large extent, it's entertaining. And, of course, the Democratic debates are more like 60 minutes. We're focusing on issues. So looks like it's going to be Donald.
All right. I'll let you have the last word on that. David Avella, Mayor, Philip Levine, thanks so much.